Hello, today I'm going to be doing a review / discussion / commentary of Yu Yu Hakusho Anime Episode 1 versus Yu Yu Hakusho Manga Chapter 1. For some background knowledge, the Yu Yu Hakusho manga originally ran in December of 1990 till July of 1994, spanning 19 volumes. The anime began airing in October of 1992 and completed its run of January 1995, spanning 112 episodes. So let's begin. The title of the manga, Chapter 1, is called So Long Living World, and the title of the anime, Episode 1, in both English and Japanese, surprisingly, is called Surprised to Be Dead. Both the anime and the manga started the same, with of course Yusuke's death. They both introduced the character as Yusuke Urameshi, 14-year-old, a punk, and the star of the manga / anime, but he's dead. But as we can see in the manga, his death is a little bit more graphic. He's on the ground, he's completely battered up, and his head's busted open with some blood on the ground. In the anime, we're not really given a clear picture of what he looks like when he's dead. He kind of just looks like he got beat up and now he's on the ground. So when we're looking at the manga, we can clearly see that he died of head trauma. Because when you get hit by a car, there's multiple ways that you can actually die from that. So both the anime and the manga continue the same way. The ambulance comes, sees that Yusuke's dead, starts to take him away. Yusuke tells him that he can't ignore him, tries to punch the medic, and goes straight through him. Yusuke then has recollection of what he did throughout the whole day. So we go back to him starting at school. Here we actually see Yusuke smoking. In the anime, we're never given any scenes of Yusuke actually lighting up a cigarette, but this happens pretty frequently in the manga. I remember reading somewhere long ago that they didn't want to make him a bad role model, but I'm pretty sure skipping school and getting into fights is even worse than smoking a cigarette. And the first thing, of course, he remembers is Keiko coming up to nag him. Now here's something I want to mention about Keiko. In the manga and the anime, in the beginning, her hair is long and she wears them in pigtails. That's fine. But in the anime, they give her these ugly, beaded pigtails that I've only seen children under the age of 6 wear. So when she wears them, it doesn't look right on her. Maybe it was a fad in Japan at the time because I believe one of her friends is also wearing them. But regardless, they still look funny. In the manga, they give her just a plain ponytail holder, and it looks fine. It looks better on her. She actually looks older. No lie, she looks totally different with those stupid little ponytails. She tells Yusuke he's being a delinquent, skipping class, smoking, and wearing street shoes. He flips her skirt, she slaps him, and she leaves. Her two friends confront her and tell about all the bad stuff they've heard about Yusuke, and Keiko confirms that none of it's actually true. We then see Yusuke come across those two guys who said that they were related to Yusuke to avoid being mugged, but they're also smoking unlike they were in the anime. Similar to the anime, they see Yusuke and are frightened. They see Yusuke and they're scared. Yusuke goes to punch them, but instead of punching him, in the manga, he says, name-dropping fee 500 yen, when in the anime, he didn't care. I think he just wanted to punch him. Give him the money, he starts to walk away, and Mr. Iwamoto comes. Of course, Mr. Iwamoto, in both versions, asks the boys what he did, and both the boys say that he didn't do anything wrong. Mr. Iwamoto, in the manga, notices one of the cigarettes the boys were smoking and blames it on Yusuke and not the two boys. Yusuke, of course, doesn't care and tells him he'll do what he wants. He starts to walk away and lights up another cigarette. In the anime, he pulls out a piece of gum. Mr. Takanaka smacks him on the back of the head and takes his cigarettes from him. He then begins to pull Yusuke by the ear into his office, but Yusuke pulls some ninja-like moves and replaces himself with a doll, when in the anime it just seems like he had a spare ear on and pulled it off. Yusuke then decides to go home. In the anime, he seems to be living in quite a nice house, but in the manga it looks like he's in some rundown neighborhood. We're then given the glimpse of his mother, of course smoking in both versions. In the anime version, she's shown in just plain old long sleeved and long leg pajamas, but in the manga she's shown in some pretty skimpy lingerie. She lectures him and he walks away, goes through town, and then he stumbles upon Kuwabara's gang. In the manga, Kuwabara is already beaten up from all the times that Yusuke's probably pummeled him into the ground, or even from other fights that he's been in. In the anime though, he's completely unharmed. Yusuke, of course, does away with him, walks away, and then meets the child that he saves. The child's name is Masaru for future reference. He makes some faces at Masaru, Masaru's not impressed, so then he does the dancing Yusuke that everyone knows and loves. The child doesn't listen, and he tells the child not to play in the street. The child doesn't listen to him, and the ball falls in the road. The child goes after it, and Yusuke, of course, goes to save him. But as I'm looking at this panel in the manga, it's hard to tell what these people are. I know it's not really important, but are they men or are they women? I'm looking at it, I can tell that the one person's probably a woman because it looks like she's wearing lipstick. And the other person is probably a man, but it looks so feminine. I can't decide, and it always has bothered me. In the anime, we have a clear shot that it's a man and a woman driving. And then Yusuke realizes that he's dead. And then Botan arrives, telling him that she's the Grim Reaper. But Yusuke doesn't seem surprised at all like he does in the anime. In the manga, he just seems more annoyed that she's there than anything. Botan then takes him to see Masaru, and they see that Masaru's just fine. In the manga, though, we're given a reaction by the mother when she realizes that Yusuke has passed away in order to save her son's life. Botan then informs him that he can come back to life if he decides to go to Spirit with her and take a test. He of course declines and said he's probably better off as a ghost and everyone else is better off. And she tells him to attend his wake and think it over. He goes to the wake, and the first panel we see actually at the wake is Atsuko sitting in front of some candles and a picture of Yusuke. In the anime, the picture of Yusuke we're given seems like a glamour shot. It's looking from behind, he looks all sweet and innocent. But in the picture in the manga, it's totally not the case. It's totally an annoyed face, and it's not a nice picture in general. So it seems more appropriate that would be Yusuke's picture, rather than the glamour shot that they give him in the anime. Yusuke's watching, he sees his classmates laughing, he's not really surprised. He sees Keiko crying in both versions, and is not really surprised as he's crying because I think he knows that she cares, but there's no real reaction. Then he hears Kuwabara coming. In both versions, he's surprised that Kuwabara has come. And in both versions, Kuwabara demands that he comes out from his coffin and fights him. And of course, his friends tell him that that's impossible, he can't come back to life to fight him. But in the anime, he actually shows some emotions, rather than just wanting to fight him. He gets upset. We see the part where he tries to punch the picture and a tear falls. That's Kuwabara's character. He's your all-around tough guy, but he still has emotions. In this scene here, we're not really shown that at all. It's more like for comic relief they threw Kuwabara in there, and even Yusuke laughs it off. Because in the anime, Yusuke's surprised that Kuwabara comes, and even says, who would have thought? We then see Mr. Iwamoto and Mr. Akashi speaking poorly of Yusuke at his funeral. Mr. Takanaka puts a stop to that, and then he goes to pay his respects to Yusuke, and says that he can't bring himself to speak well of him because it's the only good thing he's ever done in his life. He then sees how upset his mother is. And then Masaru and his mother come. And something that really, really gets home to you is when Masaru thanks Yusuke for saving his life, and then Yusuke in the manga says, "Don't thank me, I didn't do anything worth anyone's thanks, I didn't save you." But in the anime, he just remains silent throughout this whole scene. Masaru in both versions asks if he can come back tomorrow and play with Yusuke, but the mother cries and says that she can't. Botan then arrives, and Yusuke has made his decision to go back to the spirit world to take the test. Alright, so here are some random little comments that I have that don't really have a place in actually looking through the manga and the anime. Just a couple things. One, we don't ever see Masaru again, which I guess is not really important that we see him again, only because, you know, he served his purpose, he got saved, he's done. But it would have been nice to see him again. Maybe even like a cameo in like the last episode or something. That would have been really nice if maybe he came to Yusuke for help for, you know, spirit detective stuff. That would have been awesome. Just something like quirky like that is really nice. But we don't ever see or hear about him again. You would think that, and also I'll mention this again later, but when Yusuke comes back to life, since nobody really seems to think it's a big deal, regardless, don't you think that Masaru and his mother would be excited that he is alive? Don't you think that they would go see him? But no, we never hear anything from him again. Another thing is, the people who ran Yusuke over, even though Yusuke ran to the street to save the boy, regardless, I'm pretty sure there would be some kind of case about that. They wouldn't just be like, okay, well, you can go, you killed somebody, goodbye. I don't think it works that way. I know that it's just a manga, it's not really going for that realistic thing, but it still kind of bothers me that stuff like this, I always overthink all these things. I'm like, well, this should have happened and this could have happened. I always like to think that there could at least be like a reason or a mention of something, but there isn't. We never know what happens to the person who ran Yusuke over. I mean, not that that's important, but I can't imagine Atsuko not doing something about that. I mean, you hear in the manga that she possibly works for the Japanese Yakuza, so I just can't imagine anything not happening regarding that. Now, for an overall comparison of the two are pretty similar. There's only a couple differences, but it really doesn't change the story at all. And this is probably mostly because Yoshihiro Togashi, the creator of Yu Yu Hakusho, worked very closely with the anime producers when coming up with the script and everything for the anime. So I hope you guys enjoyed my review and comparison of Yu Yu Hakusho Chapter 1 versus Yu Yu Hakusho Episode 1.